Hello, everybody. Paul Vibes here, local motivational speaker and host of the People's Podcast. I was super excited to come in and speak to the Northport High School. I was asked by the task force. Now, obviously, with everything going on currently in the world, I am unable to be there. I know you guys are not in school currently. I'm hoping that this video, the different mindsets, different tools, insights that I bring in this video help you in dealing with the challenge that we all are dealing with together. But also, I hope they help you with other challenges that you face as a young adult, because I know and we can relate to a lot of the different difficulties and challenges and obstacles that you all are facing currently. But before I get into it, and I know many of you are very busy playing Animal Crossing, Call of Duty, all these other video games and things that you're probably doing during this downtime, I am hoping that this video brings some positivity and good vibes into your life. But before I do, I want to show you guys some clips of this bunny that I rescued that was going through some distress. I brought it into my house, let it recharge, let it relax, fed it, and then let it back out. Before we get into it, enjoy this video and we'll get into some tools shortly. I hope you enjoyed that video. I am happy to say that the bunny is doing well. I released it back outside and it is doing very well. So before I go into different tool sets and mindsets, I just want to share a little bit about my background and what led me into the current path and journey that I've been on. So I am actually a graduate of Northport High School. I graduated in 2011, and it was really during my high school experience that really inspired me to do the work that I'm currently doing as a motivational speaker. But ultimately, it was the challenges that I went through. And I'm hoping during this talk, you switch your perspective on the way that you look at the many different challenges that you faced. And my big challenge was growing up with a learning disability. Basically, at birth, I was choked by the umbilical cord and had minor brain damage, lost oxygen to the brain, and it led to that brain damage. And growing up, I was in resource room. I required inclusion classrooms, which means I was in smaller classrooms for most of my life. I required tutoring. And for me, like many other young adults, that definitely affected my confidence and it caused some insecurities. And unfortunately, some bullying came along with those experiences as well. But for me, the pivotal moment, the moment that shifted everything for me was volunteer work. I remember in a club run by Mr. Bajaj back when I was in 10th grade. And I remember volunteering with this club called Project Tolerance when I was sitting there with a veteran at the VA hospital in Northport. And I remember sitting there with the veteran and just listening, not doing anything fancy, not even playing a board game, but just listening to the veteran and realizing the impact that I was able to have with that individual, despite my learning disability, despite any challenges I was going through. I was able to make a huge impact on that person's life. And I had this realization that we all, as individuals, have the ability to make an impact on another person's life, despite all the different challenges and obstacles that we think or that we are currently going through. And so it's my mission and my goal that through this little video, and hopefully when this all clears up in person, my mission is to have young adults look at their challenges in a different way. And for me, if I didn't go through that learning disability, if I didn't go through those obstacles, I don't think that I would be doing the work that I do now. I had the privilege of running and starting a non-for-profit for the special needs population called the Northport Buddy Club that eventually turned into the Long Island Buddy Club. And basically what we do is plan social events for young adults 18 and up with a variety of different abilities. And I like to say abilities because it's true. These young adults have some amazing talents. But we have young adults from all different walks of life, come from all over the island to socialize, to connect, to make friends, and just allow an environment for them just to be themselves. And it's my goal that through this experience, through the challenges that we are going through as a world right now with this virus, is that it allows us to really put into perspective what is important to you, right? So this is the challenge that the whole world is going through, right? Because I think as you, a young adult watching this, I'm sure there's been moments in your life where you've gone through challenges where you have said something like, well, nobody can relate to these challenges. I'm the only one going through this and it stinks. But this is something that we all are going to. It doesn't matter if you're in Northport, East Northport, or in a different country. We all are facing this at some degree, in some level. We all are being affected by this virus. So it's these different tools and mindsets I'm going to talk about. You know, one thing that I think we can look at in this time right now that we're all going through is really thinking about how we want to use our time, right? As I mentioned before, many of us, I'm sure, are playing. I keep hearing this talk of this new video game, Animal Crossing, and don't get me wrong, I love some video games, so I'm not hating on you guys for playing video games. But it's really a time where you can get to do the hobbies and reach out to people also. And this is a time where you have that downtime to really invest in the different hobbies and different things that you are interested in. It might be a type of art. It might be a book that you've wanted to read. It might be a time to go for a run or a walk or to work out in your house. It might be a time to meditate, which I'm going to go into a little more detail later. It's also a time to call up loved ones and friends. And you may not be able to physically be there with them, but at least you can call them and check up on loved ones, especially individuals that are a little bit older, because you want to check in and make sure that they know that you love them and that you support them, and see if there's anything that you can do to help them. Now, this idea of challenges, right? Because despite this big challenge, I'm sure there's many other challenges that we all are facing at an individual level. Now, I want you guys to look at some of the challenges that you've overcome, right? And I'm sure in those different challenges, you can take a moment right now to just reflect on those different challenges that you have gone through. So take a moment, be quiet in the moment, and just reflect back on those different challenges that you've been through. And I want you to think about maybe in the moment when you're going through those challenges, did you feel like, I'm not going to be able to get through this, or what's the point in this lesson? Why am I going through this challenge? Or why did this happen to me? And I want you to view that challenge and actually see what positive things came out of it. What lessons did you learn? Now, if you're having trouble doing that, I just want you to be still and just think a little bit harder about the things that you adjusted, the changes that you made in your life, the things that you learned from those challenges. How those challenges changed your perspective and allowed you to be a little bit more wise and knowledgeable in certain subjects. How they maybe made you a little bit stronger in certain areas in your life. Because as we all know, when we're in the midst of these different challenges, it's sometimes very difficult to see the silver lining. What's the positive lesson in this? What's the thing that I can walk away with and be a better person? But oftentimes it's not long. It takes some time. It's usually long after that we find the lessons in it. So I want you to reflect on past challenges and see the lessons and things that you've learned from those obstacles. Now, like I said, this is a big challenge that we all are going through. And it's a matter of how we as individuals are going to learn from this, right? So I want you to reflect on those challenges and also reflect on how you want to use this current experience to be the best version of yourself, right? There might be some things that you are taking for granted. There might be some things that you miss dearly during this time of isolation. And there's some basic things that we all need to be doing right now because we want to make sure that and ensure the safety of the people around us. So some of these things are obvious, right? Trying to, not touch your face as much, making sure you're washing your hands a lot, making sure you're staying clean, trying not to have too much physical contact with other people, right? Making sure that you're staying as healthy, drinking a lot of water, trying to get in exercise, trying to eat healthy. And another thing that's important during this time is to try to stay grounded and try to keep a clear mind. And meditation, there might be some other people during this wellness week that are hopefully having videos talking about meditation. And that's one thing that I want to go talk about with you guys, because it's something that I incorporate a lot into my life. And it doesn't need to involve spirituality or religion. It could just be a practice that you incorporate into your everyday life. So the important thing about meditation is not to judge yourself or be hard on yourself, because a lot of the biggest complaint about meditation that people have is, I can't do it. I sit still and all these thoughts come into my mind. So if I ask that anybody practicing or trying meditation, it might be difficult in the beginning, but don't be hard on yourself. That is part of the process. So if you want to try meditation right now while you're watching this video, we're going to do a short meditation, and there's many videos on YouTube that go into more detail and more depth about the power and basically how to meditate. So the first thing I'm going to ask that you do is you plant your feet on the ground and try to put your legs and arms in a position that is comfortable to you. Try to find a room, obviously, that is a little bit more quiet. Now what you're going to want to do is start taking a few natural deep breaths in and out. Okay, so make sure you bring the air all the way in and then all the way out. So deep breath like this. So do a few more deep breaths in and out. Now, the important thing, like I said before, if thoughts start coming into your mind, don't try to fight them. Don't try to resist them. Allow them to come in and let them go. Just focus on the sensation of the air going in and the air going out. Again, a few more deep breaths, all the way in, all the way out. So continue to take a few more deep breaths in and out. And just focus on the sensation of the breath going in and then the breath going out. Now, meditation is something that you can incorporate at many different times throughout your day. It doesn't need to be in the morning. It doesn't need to be at night. It could be at any point that you feel like you need to be more grounded and centered and calm in the present moment. I try to incorporate meditation throughout my day, even if it's for 5 minutes, even if it's for a few seconds, just to have some conscious moments where I'm still in the present moment. So again, that is meditation. Like I said, you can look into many more videos online on how to meditate. We've been getting some beautiful days recently, even if it's going for a short jog or a nice walk, taking your dog outside. And as we know, I think animals are getting the most out of this experience. There really and truly are amazing things that you can do with your time, right? You may not be able to be there physically with your friends, but you can video chat with them. You can do a group Zoom call. There's so many different things that we can do, right? And another thing that I want us all to think about is gratitude. I think it's during these moments especially that we really reflect on the things that we have in our lives that we may have taken for granted earlier. I know that I am the first to admit that I think sometimes I take things for granted as well. So we might take for granted the ability to go to school, the ability to sit at the lunch table and connect with our friends and to hug our friends and to just be engaging and exciting and to be in class with our teachers. I think when we're in it, we complain about it. But then when we lose it, it really allows us to realize what is important to us. So take this moment, take this experience, however long it lasts, to really make the most of it, to really try to get grounded, to get into different interests and hobbies you have, but also to connect with people and to connect with the people you love. But also realize that in life, we can't take things for granted. Even the ability to go to school, the ability to connect with social distancing, we're realizing how important and how, human touch is such a big part of our well-being. And currently, we're not really asked to do that. We're asked to kind of have social distancing and stay a little distance away from each other. And that might be very, very hard for some of us. So really reflect on this time, on what is important to you and how you're going to incorporate these changes and lessons and insights, and how you're going to look at life in a different way once we get through this challenge. So the final thing that I want to discuss with all of you is the importance of seeking resources and seeking help, and also seeking mentors. I think a lot of us, we want to solve all of our problems. We want to solve the problems and issues that our friends are dealing with, and we don't want to seek help often. Often we want to feel like we can do it all on our own. The truth is, as we all know, it's very difficult to do it alone. And I really want each one of you to be empowered, especially during this struggle that we all are going through together as a world right now. I want us to be empowered to seeking help, seeking resources, not being afraid to ask for help. You know, it might be a challenge that you are going through. It might be a challenge that a friend or a loved one is going through, and you just don't know how to help them. It's important to have that skill set, to have the ability to reach out to the right people. It might be reaching out to a family member, a guidance counselor, a social worker. Even if you don't feel comfortable chatting with your own parents, maybe you're close to a friend's parent, or even just speaking to a friend and saying, hey, listen, I really need to get some support in this issue that I'm dealing with. It may not even be an issue that you are dealing with. It might be a challenge that somebody close to you is dealing with, and you just don't know how to help them. I think it's really important to have that ability, to not be afraid to ask for help. And the truth is, you know, even our mentors, our coaches, our parents, the people that look after us and that support us, they have mentors, they have coaches, they have resources. So even the people that we look up to, that we sometimes put on a pedestal, they also have support systems in place. In closing, I hope that you all enjoyed this video. This is just a quick kind of summary of a few of the things that I go over in my talk. I do look forward to coming into the school in person and engaging, connecting with the students. And just in summary, be sure to take care of yourself, be clean, stay healthy. Be sure to reach out to your loved ones and make sure that you're there for them and that you care for them and that they know that they are loved. Also, be sure to use this time wisely. Like I said, whether it's picking up a hobby that you've been meaning to do, maybe it's finishing a book that you've been meaning to read. There's a bunch of things that we could do in this time. If you're interested in having more positivity, more good vibes in your life, you are more than encouraged to check out my YouTube channel, which is all under Paul Vibes. You can also follow me on Instagram as well. I have dozens of different interviews with amazing local guests, people ranging from mediums to people in the spiritual community, social workers, people who own different businesses, people who share their story of overcoming addiction, and people who share how poetry and rap and other outlets have really transformed their life. Again, thank you so much for checking out this video. At the end of this video, as I mentioned earlier, there's some great footage from the Family Feud event. I'd like to thank One Life. I'd like to thank Drug and Alcohol Task Force and Northport High School for giving me this opportunity to make this video. And again, I look forward to being there in person and connecting with many of the different students down the road. As always, Paul Vibes here, sending you lots of positive energy. Thank you very much.